I'm Chris Vaccaro, the editor of Sachem Patch. I'm sitting here with Dave Falco, the head coach of Sachem North football, and we're doing our weekly Coach's Corner segment. Welcome to the show, Coach.
Thanks for having us.
We have a big game that we just won over Lindenhurst, and obviously a whole season ahead of us, but this game was important to beat a 3 seed. Coming into this game, a lot of people thought somehow they'd be able to beat Sachem. Didn't happen by far at all.
I think Lindenhurst is an excellent team with an excellent coaching staff. I think they have the best quarterback in our division based on how he played and performed a year ago. It was a big test for us whether or not we could stop the passing game, and I think our ability to rush the passer was the key to the game.
Okay. Obviously, Sachem's biggest player this week was Jesse Scannah. 3 touchdowns, countless tackles, big yardage. Talk about what his differences were between Week 1 and his recent performance.
We spoke last week about Jesse's performance in Week 1 was not up to Jesse's standards from Jesse's perspective. And again, I don't necessarily think that performance was all his fault because we were being very conservative with his thumb injury that he had. I think Jesse had something to prove this week to himself and to his teammates. And I think he went out and did that. It was one of the best performances defensively that I've seen him have in the 4 years that he started for us.
And Mike McCarthy had a big game. Pretty funny, his first touchdown since he was 8 years old. He told me that after the game. I don't even know if you knew that.
No, I didn't know that. And Michael, having been a quarterback for his whole life, it kind of surprised me. It was a great play. If you go back and look at the film, Michael really played out his fake on the option. We handed the ball to Mike Andriossi. He broke through the middle. Guy ripped the ball out, and Michael was continuing to run out his fake and was in a great spot to recover the fumble for a touchdown. It was a great thing for him.
This week we have Brentwood coming up. Last year we played them twice, once in the regular season and once in the playoffs. Their team is a little bit different, but they're always that team that's kind of sketchy where they're not a pushover by any means.
Coach DeLillo is the new head coach there. He's been an offensive coordinator there for many years. He's a Connecticut grad. He does an excellent job running the offense, finding your weakness, attacking that weakness. I think Brentwood is going to be a well-coached team. They always have athletes. We're very concerned about one of their linebackers and one of their running backs. I think they're probably the 2 best players on the team. I think they're in a rebuilding mode from a year ago. But like you said, they're always a dangerous team. They give you a lot of formations. They give you empty sets with no running backs in the backfield, so we need to be prepared for that. The other thing I'm concerned about with this week is last year at this time, Week 3 was our first letdown. We didn't play well against Longwood in the first half, and that's something that we're focusing on this year in Week 3 to not have that letdown.
Angelo Armine, his stats haven't been great, but he's still been that emotional leader he's always been. Talk about him so far with 2 weeks into the season.
Angelo doesn't get enough credit for his defensive play. Angelo is an emotional leader for us. He's a very physical defensive player. And if you go back and look at the film against Lindy, he was making a lot of hits that don't necessarily show up as stats for tackles and assists, but he's taking out that first blocker while allowing Jesse and Mike McCarthy to run to the ball and make tackles. So he's a very valuable player for us defensively. He's doing fine offensively. We have not thrown the ball that much, but we continue to work on it. It's definitely in the game plan. I've been a little disappointed with the way we've started offensively, which kind of has led us to not throwing the ball. We're still working out the offensive line kinks, but I think it's coming along. It's coming along. Getting back to Angelo, he's a great player for us, and we expect big things from him every week.
He did have a 50-yard touchdown run that was called back, so the production's there.
Yeah, and I never like to get on the officials, but you go back and look at it, and I couldn't find the offsides. They said that Jesse moved, but Jesse's moving when the ball's moving. It just so happens that he's faster than everybody else. Him and James Thompson were the first ones to move, but the ball was moving as well. Maybe we need to get the rest of the line to come off with the snap as well, and we won't get those calls.
Right. You mentioned James Thompson, All-County last year. One of the top guys to watch in the county again going into this season. How has he been? Is he coming along like you'd hoped right now?
I think James needs to continue. I don't think that he came into camp in the best shape that he was supposed to come in, so I think that's a concern for him. I think he's starting to get back to where he was. I think last year the ability for him to play next to Long Island player Joe Kirchner really helped him. I think he misses that leadership roles, persons being next to him on the line, and we need him to be that guy. Now for the other guys, we have new tight ends, we have a new guard next to him. So again, the offensive line is usually the last thing that comes together, and James is a big factor for us. So he needs to continue to work hard and continue to get back to that form that he was at the end of last year.
Okay. Every year when we play Brentwood, usually give out the Spider Westerfeld Trophy. I guess we'll end the show on discussing him and what he meant to this program.
Now, when I went to school here, he was the voice of Sachem football, and it was kind of like Bob Shepard. You know, anytime you went to a game, you heard that voice, and I'll always remember, you know, standing in the north end zone. And that's something that I remember that, you know, when I played here, when I went to college and came back and watched games, and then when I came back to Sachem to coach as an assistant for Fred, he was here, and that was '95. And the first couple of games, we were kind of struggling a little bit, and we played Connecticut. We really whooped up on him. And we went down to Bruno's after the game, and he was there, and he came up to me, and he said, you know what, that's Sachem football the way it used to be. And that was the last time I saw him. That was the last time I saw him. He passed away that night from complications of asthma and some of the medication he was taking. But Spider is missed around here. He's always going to be remembered. I think we're going to rededicate the press box to him probably next year. But Spider's definitely missed. You know, the voice of Sachem football always will be.
Well, thanks for watching this week's edition of the Sachem Patch Coach's Corner. Catch us every week with both Dave Falco and then we have Brian Harvey from East.